Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel. If you're a human being with a pulse, chances are you're familiar with these little 1-pound propane bottles. They're used in camping stoves, heaters, and lanterns, so they get a lot of use during the fall and winter months. I grew up hunting and camping, so I've been around them pretty much for as long as I can remember. And if you're into emergency preparedness, they're probably something that you have a pretty good stash of, but unfortunately, these are some of the biggest ripoffs that you could waste your money on. So today we're going to talk about why that is, along with ways to make them more cost-effective, including how to refill 1-pound propane bottles safely. Now, most folks use these because they need something portable that they can just pack up in their car, or for situations where they don't want to have a larger cylinder inside of their home. But since they're small and portable, they're not going to store much fuel, and they're going to run out of it very quickly. Like if you're running a standard buddy heater on high, one tank like this is only going to last for around 3 hours. Then small bottles are very expensive to use, especially if you want to run a device over an extended period of time. Where I live, you can find these for around $5.47 each. You may get a better deal if you buy a multi-pack, but to keep the math simple, we'll just stick with that number. Now, let's say you can fill up a larger propane tank for $3.29 per gallon. A 20-pound cylinder will hold around 4.6 gallons, so that means it'll cost around $15.13 to fill up one all the way. If you calculate that cost by pound, then it comes to around 76 cents. If you compare that to these 1-pound disposables, that means you're paying 76 cents for fuel and $4.71 for the one-time use container. If you're wanting to stockpile fuel in larger quantities, the math on that just really doesn't make sense unless you're ridiculously loaded and stupid. A good way around this, though, is to use a full-size cylinder with an adapter hose, and doing that's very useful for things like heaters that you may want to keep running for a while. Just connect the hose to the tank, connect the other end to your device, and then you're good to go. But doing that does have some drawbacks. First, you're not technically supposed to use a full-size cylinder indoors. If there's a leak, that's potentially a lot of fuel that can get loose, not have enough room to dissipate, and if it lights, then there goes the living room along with your chain-smoking uncle. So if you want to do it safely, it's best to run the hose through a window, which will allow you to keep the tank outside. Then another problem is that some things, like propane lanterns and smaller propane heaters, are designed so that the bottle serves as its base. There's not really a good way to connect a larger hose to those smaller devices. So really, you do need small 1-pound bottles if you plan on using those. So even with their problems, these are still good to have around. One way that a lot of people get more use out of their 1-pound bottles is to refill them. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute, but first, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Delete Me. While modern technology helps us stay connected to friends and loved ones, it also makes protecting our personal privacy and OPSEC a lot more difficult. All of us have an online footprint that makes it easy for anyone to figure out where we live, who our family members are, where we work, and much more. Data brokers store this information and will give it to anyone who's willing to pay for it. Criminals, stalkers, and creepy coworkers from 15 years ago can use what they find on these sites to make your life miserable. You could be harassed, have your identity stolen, or become the target of phishing schemes where bad actors will try to get even more sensitive information like your bank account or social security numbers. But there are ways that you can help protect your personal information. Delete Me will reach out to the different data broker websites and request to have your information removed. Since I started using them towards the beginning of the year, they've removed my information from numerous sources, and a lot of this was from websites that I didn't even know existed. I think they're a really good service if you're concerned about your online privacy, and if you want to check them out, then be sure to use this link and code to get 20% off. Now, refilling these small propane bottles has become a lot more popular over the past few years. It's not really all that hard to do, and you can even find adapters to help you do it in local big box stores. Those are around 10 bucks each, so technically you could make your money back on them after refilling like 2 or 3 bottles. But reusing these small 1-pounders does have some drawbacks. Even though they're a lot tougher than like butane canisters, the metal they're made of is actually pretty thin. If you were to cut and empty one of these open, you'd probably be able to bend the metal with your hand. And since the metal is so thin, they're probably not something that you want to be continuously filling and refilling, because doing that can put a lot of strain on the metal. Then these disposable bottles usually don't have any sort of rust inhibitor coating inside of them, and rust is another thing that'll cause them to degrade over time. Each time that you refill one of these bottles, a little more moisture gets inside, and that'll cause the tank to rust faster, and this can cause big problems for containers that are under constant pressure. Then on top of all that, any regular 1-pound bottle that you refill won't be legal to transport. Now, to be fair, a lot of people have refilled these and haven't had any problems at all. I personally don't know of anyone that's been sent into orbit while trying to do this. Then the chances of being caught with refill propane bottles, I mean, it's really pretty low, unless you look like you're about to go break bad in the middle of the forest. I've never heard of a cop really caring about propane bottles during a traffic stop, especially if you have things in your vehicle like camp stoves or heaters as well. It's pretty obvious what's going on there. But on this channel, I like to err on the side of caution. I would absolutely hate for any of y'all to lose your eyebrows or get thrown in jail by some overzealous hall monitor who got beat up by Hank Hill in high school and now despises anything to do with propane and propane accessories. So I went ahead and I picked up a propane refill kit. It includes everything that a person would need to safely and legally refill 1-pound propane bottles. It comes with a stand that you can set your 20-pound cylinder on, and a special adapter that you'll use to connect your bottles to the tank. Then most importantly, it comes with a 1-pound bottle that's been specifically designed to be refilled multiple times. It's built with heavier duty materials to help it withstand multiple refillings, and it has a rust inhibitor coating inside of it, and it's also DOT certified, so it's totally legal. You can use it at home or take it camping without any issues. There are a couple of refill kits like this on the market, but I went with the one by Flame King since it's been around a little longer and it gets slightly better reviews. Now, to refill your bottle, start by setting your 20-pound cylinder upside down on this included stand. It is important to note that you should not keep your larger propane tank upside down like this for more than around 10 minutes. Doing that could cause the safety valve to malfunction, which could lead to all sorts of not very fun things happening. And also be sure to do this outside. Don't do it in your home or even in like a shed or your garage. Some propane is going to escape as you are going through this process, and you want it to be able to dissipate. Also, don't do anything stupid like smoke or operate a flamethrower while you're doing this. I have to say that because, well, idiots are everywhere, including the internet, and letting nature take its course is legally hazardous for me, so here we are. Next, you are going to connect the refill adapter to the tank, and when you do this, make sure that the fill nozzle on the other end is facing down, because you want your refill bottle to be upright as you're filling this. And also, as you're doing this, make sure to wear gloves and eye protection. Any propane that escapes is going to be really honking cold, and it could also give you an ice burn. And I also went ahead and wore long sleeves to protect my arms as well. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this. And make sure that is nice and tight. Notice that stem is facing down. And then after that, you can go ahead and remove the cap, whoops, from your smaller bottle. Now, if yours are like mine, you'll have a small Allen wrench taped to the top of the cover. Do not lose this. You're going to need that Allen wrench in a second to control the bleeder valve on the bottle. And that's really my only gripe about this system. The fuel keg, which is another popular refillable bottle, uses a key ring looking thing that stays attached to it all the time. And that's nice since you don't have to worry about losing anything. But if you do lose the Allen wrench that comes with this, then you can use any 5/64 or 2mm Allen wrench in its place. Either one of those will work, but if you can find one that's 2mm, it will fit a little bit better. Next, go ahead and connect the bottle to the refill adapter. And as you do this, make sure that the groove next to the relief valve is lined up with the stem on the refill adapter. They should fit right together. And once you have them lined up, just screw the adapter onto the bottle. And as you're doing this, be sure to tighten it down so that you don't have to worry about any leaks. Next, go ahead and insert the Allen wrench into the recessed screw towards the top of the bottle like this. This is how you're going to control the bleeder valve. That'll tell you that the bottle is filled up. Then go ahead and open the main valve on the 20-pound cylinder. After that, turn the Allen key counterclockwise, like maybe a quarter of a turn. And then go ahead and press the trigger on the refill adapter, and propane will start flowing into the refillable bottle. When the bottle reaches its capacity, you're going to start to see propane leaking out of the bleeder valve. And when you see this, you are going to use the Allen key, turn it clockwise to close that bleeder valve off. So we're going to wait on that. It's still filling up. Okay, you can see it's starting to spit out. Good. Go ahead and close that off. Now, after this, go ahead and close the valve on your 20-pound cylinder. This is just going to prevent large amounts of propane from escaping if there is an issue with the refill adapter. And then unscrew the bottle from the adapter. As always, some propane is going to get out, but that shouldn't last more than a couple of seconds. Then you can disconnect the refill adapter from your larger tank. Just like a second ago, some gas does escape. That is normal. And as long as you had shut the main valve on the big tank, then that's not going to be a big issue. And then once you're done with all this, go ahead and set your big tank upright to avoid any issues with that safety valve. You may also want to spray some soapy water onto the top of the bottle just to make sure that there aren't any leaks. Then you can use this just like any other 1-pound propane bottle. Screw it onto whatever you're wanting to use, and it should work just fine. I've been able to use these with my propane lantern, buddy heater, and camp stoves. For storage though, be sure to reattach the cap to the top of the bottle. You can also get nicer brass versions, but I'll just be using the ones that came with them for now. Then for the Allen key, you can use masking tape to attach it to either the bottle or cap. If you have small kids around though, you may want to store it somewhere else, or at the very least tape it to the bottom of the bottle. If they get a hold of the Allen key and use it to open the bleeder valve, propane is going to leak out, and that could be bad. You may also want to write the size of the Allen wrench on the bottle with a Sharpie so you'll know what size you need if you lose the one that came with your bottle. Now, if you want to see other hacks that you can use to help you stay warm during a winter power outage, then click here. Or if you want to see barter items that you can stockpile for long-term survival, then click here. Once again, I'd like to thank Delete Me for sponsoring us today. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.